A very good day to you and welcome to the Game Changer program, proudly brought to you by the Zimbabwe Environmental Law Association. Today we're going to be focusing on the work being done by environmental monitors and community-based organizations on environmental protection. Environmental protection is often misconstrued as an obstacle to economic development. However, this perception, obviously, as we look globally and locally, has failed to recognize the complex relationship between environmental safeguards and sustainable progress. Greater transparency, participation, and dialogue between citizens and government officials is crucial in navigating this delicate balance. To join me for this conversation, I have with me James Dube, who is an environmental monitor from Gwanda. I also have with me Charmaine Chibi, who is from the Hot Springs, and she's an environmental monitor. And of course, I have with me Anna Nyamakope, who is from Mutoko, and she's the environmental monitor there. Environmental monitors and community-based organizations, ladies and gentlemen, play a pivotal role in Zimbabwe's environmental protection efforts, and their work often involves data collection, community awareness, advocacy, monitoring, compliance, and so much more. But of course, I am definitely not the expert, and I have with me my experts here who are going to be discussing a few challenges that they have, but also looking at some of the key opportunities. How are you today? Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fantastic. So I'll start off with James. You're
Okay.
from Gwanda, all the way from Gwanda,
Yes.
to come to Heart and Soul. Thank you for being our game changer today. Let's talk a little bit about the role of environmental monitors and community-based organizations in promoting environmental protection.
Thank you so much for that question. I think the major aspect is to actually raise awareness between the two, to actually maybe help the community to understand the impact that is being done by certain, let's say, certain mines or certain makorokos in certain areas. And
Right.
also, the other important aspect that we bring on board is to actually maybe raise awareness to the community, inform, and also educate the community so that it becomes easier for us to actually navigate how we can as well find solutions or mitigate between the two. The major aspect also is to actually find solutions on how we can as well sustain our environment and also at the same time benefiting from it. Thank you so much.
You know, that's quite interesting. And, you know, as we do the COP28 and COP29, you know, and we're talking about climate change, there seems to be that challenge. How does the government balance economic development but protect the environment? Do you feel as if there's a challenge in terms of understanding the link or the relationship between these two? And of course, I'll ask Charmaine this question.
Thank you.
Oh, I thought it was directed to James. Okay, then maybe you can repeat the question.
Yeah, so we're talking about why is it that it seems as if there's some sort of antagonism between the government and the citizens. When citizens are holding the government to account in terms of environmental protection, why is it that there seems to be a lot more people that are failing to recognize the relationship between environmental sustainability and economic development?
Yeah, I think lack of awareness mostly, because when you look at service delivery, sometimes in our communities we are not certain who does what,
Right.
who is responsible for this.
Right.
So we tend to point fingers at who is supposed to be responsible for this.
Yeah.
So by introducing what is called a MAPS, multi-actor partnership, it has bring a lot of change
Right.
in our communities right now, considering that long back we used to finger point,
Yeah.
who is wrong, who is right. So the multi-actor partnership that we have started as environmental monitors, we have initiated dialogues rather
Right.
than debates
Okay.
from community members and service delivery. So now we know they come to us, we discuss, and we understand, yes, what are we supposed to do
Right.
and what we are supposed to know from them.
Right. You know, it's interesting. You say you are facilitating dialogues more than debates, because usually debates don't get anywhere.
Yes.
People fight and then, you know, they don't want to see each other anymore instead of actually creating constructive dialogue. Anna, you're coming from Mutoko.
Yes.
What are some of the activities that you're doing right now as an environmental monitor?
Isisi ndisemugari wekwamutoko ndiri munharaunda tinoshanda nevagari vemunzvimbo tichienda tichiona mamining kuti vashandi vari kubatwa zvakanaka here, tichiona kuti pavari kushanda havasi kushungurudzwa here. Munharaunda medu matiri kugara vanhu vari kuitwa marelocation, saka tinenge tichiona kuti mumwe anogona kungouya achipiwa kunzi ndokupa $200,000 ndakupa $200,000, saka iye anobva aona kuti mari iyi yakawanda, asi kuzoziva kuti paari kuenda kumberi uko hazvisi kuzomuitira zvakanaka. Saka ndo patinenge takuenda takubatsirana nawo kuti unofanira kutanga wawerengawo kuti zviri kufamba sei zvichidi. Pakushanda apa tishande tiri tega, tinoshanda namasabhuku nemaheadman nemutoko RDC, then mutoko RDC yobva yaenda yaudza DDC tiri pamwe chete zvinhu zvedu zvotibatira zvotifambira zvakanaka.
Alright. Saka zviri kureva kuti muri kushandidzana nevaridzi vemunharaunda as well kuti zvinhu zvenyu zvifambe. Alright. James, you're from Gwanda.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the initiatives that you've been involved in.
Thank you so much. The one that we have done quite recently was to actually maybe try to find a solution between the challenges that a certain community was actually facing when it comes to issues of dust emissions from a certain mine. Also, we're trying to engage with different stakeholders within that area. We had the likes of the chiefs, councillors and other stakeholders that were actually involved to actually try to find the best solution on how we can address the problem that we're facing. And also the other issue was to also maybe try to raise awareness so that the local people might as well understand the nitty-gritties when it comes to the laws of the environment, how they can benefit and how they can safeguard the environment. I think that's one of the major issues that we've tried to push.
Okay, that's quite interesting. So you are actually educating the citizens as well, so that citizens play a critical role in holding their leaders to account when something goes wrong within the environment, within that community. Charmaine, you're from Hot Springs. What are some of your initiatives?
So in Hot Springs, apart from what James has said, we are also doing the same. But we also started to involve children, recognizing the environmental child rights. So we have established environmental clubs in schools. We now have 4 clubs that have been started. We have got a Hot Spring Primary, a primary, Nemaramba Primary, and a private school, which is Faith's Choice. So these, they are doing a lot of activities that are impacting in the community as well. We have got some cleanup campaigns that they do within their schoolyards and to the business centers, and sometimes even in the community, during the community meetings. We are starting to involve the children in decision making of what are their concerns when it comes to the environment. There are also some cleanup campaigns that we are doing as well. And these environmental clubs, they have got started to do some activities like reusing materials, recycling, producing some beautiful things out of those waste, like sort of in waste management. So we have seen great impact in this, and we are also offering awareness to the community members who are out of school. They've got some children who are out of school. So we have got some awareness campaigns that we launched, though they are at a limited scale because we do not have enough resources. But that's one of the initiatives that we are doing.
That's interesting. So you're future-proofing the next generation, which means you are helping young people, especially children, understand the importance of their environment. Anna, ndeapi mamwe matambudziko amuri kusangana nawo muri ma-environmental monitors kana tichitarisana of course nekuda kuchengetedza environment yenyu?
Mamwe matambudziko atiri kusangana nawo ndeyekuti havasi kuzokwanisa pavari kutema miti, havasi kuzokwanisa kusiya vadyara miti yavo, paribva pasara pari pane vakashama stereki poita magomba avari kuzosara akadaro havasi kuzokwanisa kuzofushira magomba ayaya saka tinongoti matambudziko aya ndo mamwe atiri kusangana nawo munharaunda medu.
Then some of these challenges, if we look at where you're coming from, James, how are you sort of tackling some of these challenges as environment monitors?
I think the best solution to that is to actually try to engage different stakeholders,
right?
Bring them together to actually find a solution, because just going alone on that route, you won't actually succeed anything. So you bring in the likes of EMA, RDCs, and the local council if it's there to actually bring them together, try to find a solution to actually address the issue that you're facing, especially when it comes to the issues of land degradation. We have got a lot of illegal miners, we call them Momakorokoza, that are doing such kind of activities, especially by the roads. It's not looking good in some other areas. So we're trying to find a solution between also EMA going out, and also the other issues to try educate the mine owners. That's the best solution that one can do. You find that most of the mine owners that you'll be having certain activities, but without being given proper information and proper education on how they can do their mining activities within that area, it then addresses the problems that they're facing if they're given the information, the rightful information, and also to just capacitate the ones that are closer to them to say, guys, we do these things like this, and also having all these other small players getting involved, and also maybe trying to do the edutainment, go the edutainment route, because we have a say that as young as you go you have to use something that they like so that you bring them on board. So we try to find all those initiatives all together.
Charmaine, let's talk about some of the challenges you're facing within your community.
Okay, the challenges that we are facing is we have few environmental human rights defenders,
right?
And we have got a lot, a bigger catchment area that we are not able to cover it, and we've got a lack of resources, enough resources. Sometimes you need to walk about 5 kilometers to go and verify a case there. And sometimes you need to report. And looking at our area, we are at the Chimanimani west side, and the offices of those services like EMA Council, they are located in the Chimanimani east. So sometimes for us to reach there, it's difficult. And making a phone call, you know how it is. Sometimes there's poor network, and you cannot communicate. So when we then find some times during the workshop to report our cases, some of them, you know, it will be too late, but though they will act upon it. So we are actually advocating for the decentralization of offices, maybe to have some coordinators from those respective areas, so that we can report our cases in time, and they can be responded in time.
Well, after the short break, we'll continue this conversation as we look at some of the risks that our environmental monitors face. And of course, we're looking at environmental monitors facing risks such as hazardous conditions, exposing them to pollution, wildlife, and potential violence. A special thanks to James Dube, Charmaine Chibi from Hot Springs, and Anna Nyamakope from Mutoko for taking us through the first segment, just helping us understand what environmental monitors are. We'll be right back after the short break.
Hey everybody, my name is Taff and I am your host every Tuesday at 2 p.m. for Mental Health Watch Show, where we discuss everything mental health. And you know what? We make it so simple. We break down the big terms and make it palatable for you and I to understand, and so as much as to reduce the stigma. So do join us every Tuesday at 2 p.m. You know the place to be. It's Mental Health Watch on Heart and Soul.
Well, welcome back to the Game Changer program, proudly brought to you by the Zimbabwe Environmental Law Association. Today, we're talking about the work being done by environmental monitors and community-based organizations on environmental protection. As we said before, that there's this perception that when we look at environmental conservation, we look at an obstacle to economic development, which is not the case. And therefore, we have environmental monitors from all over the country, such as Gwanda, Hot Springs, and Motoko, to come and share their experiences. Just before the break, we had our first panelist talk about, what is an environmental monitor and some of the initiatives that they're doing, but looking at some of the challenges that they're facing. And we'll continue that conversation because we have on the panel Julia Nyarukokora from Mutoko, and she's an environmental monitor there. And we have Noel Pambokani, and he's from Hot Springs, and he's an environmental monitor. And of course, we have James, who has continued with our panel, and he's from Gwanda. And we'll be talking about some of the initiatives that they're doing, but also looking at some of the risks that they face. Saka tinomboti titaure pamusoro pezviri kuitika paMutoko, Julia, in terms of basa rauri kuita as an environmental monitor, but as well as my challenges au kufeza kwaMutoko.
Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Julia Nyarukokora from Mutoko. I'm here as a community monitor. Basa tita kwaMutoko as a monitor nderekuti tinoti my problems and my challenges kune vanhu already within the area ekutwa mining vanhu vachiripota kwatiri as monitors then isati zokwanisa kumbonaka kumine straight semamonitors toti unoona sabhuku kana kuti kansela kuti tiwane kuti chigamuchirika kupi kumamines kwako because pakutanga zvainesa tingotanga ngoti tikotenga kweteverenzi muranani mabvakupi zvaine kubvunza kwakawanda wanda saka yezvine takasungunuka kuenda tine makanselas edu nemahead edu nemasabhuku then tosvika panzvimbo tomonita toona zvinenge zvaitika then toziva way forward kuti tinonoripota kunge kuzimbabwe human rights here kuema here kuzela here zvidipinda kuti zvida kupolisa ndizvida kupi ndomashaita tichitesi kwaMutoko.
Alright, sei zvakakosha nhai Julia kuti mutange masvikira pamba pasabhuku kuti vanzwisise kuti muri vanani, muri kuita nezvei munharaunda?
Chitete kuti bamba pasabhuku ndipo kuti ndo vanenge vari nzvimbo ikuitika zvinhu izvi kuita kuti mangwana tikazonzombo todada vanotonozomirawo navo sezvo vari vari nzvimbo.
Alright. Noel, iwewo unobva Hot Springs. Tell us some of the challenges that you're facing and some of the initiatives dzamagara maakutoita Hot Springs as environmental monitors.
Okay, I'm Noel Pambokani from Hot Springs. I'm here as the environmental monitor. So some of the challenges we face normally, it's not that easy to do awareness in communities where some of the people don't even know what is an environmental monitor. So we tried to engage with the various stakeholders like village heads, council in particular, so that if you engage to community members with the traditional leaders and the councillor, they get the sense, they easily get the sense of who you are. Because normally if you come with the fact that I'm a community environmental monitor, they don't even understand. Maybe they may think it's political affiliated, of which it's another thing of protecting our environment. So we have some of the initiatives we managed to put on ground. Like now, it's now easier for people to do awareness, like cleanup campaigns. At first, they thought if you do a cleanup, you are supposed to be given a token of appreciation, of which now it's now easy to do those monthly cleanup campaigns. I think it's one of initiatives we managed to do. Also, at first it wasn't easy to engage the community, the mining companies, because we had a problem of polluted Ozi River.
Okay.
So as we managed to engage with EMA, it's now easier for us to approach mining companies to find a way of reducing the polluted water along Ozi River.
Okay.
So for now, I think
those are some of the initiatives.
Those are some of the initiatives.
And you are definitely doing a lot.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting, James, that when we were growing up, and I'm sure all of us experienced this, we had a class auditor, and they were not our favorite person.
Yeah, true.
Because we would know that if something went wrong, they're writing your name down and you'd go for punishment.
Yes.
So there's this sort of, you know, myth around, if it's a monitor, it's a person who's there to sort of attack you and judge you, right? So with that sort of misinformation that people have, what are some of the risks that you face? You know, as Noel rightfully said, that sometimes people think it's politically affiliated. Sometimes when you go kwa sabuku, you know, they don't understand what you are trying to do. So let's talk a little bit about some of the risks that you face as environmental monitors.
Thank you so much. I think one thing that is really actually, it's been like a challenge for almost like all over, especially in Zim, for monitors, is that people think it's a political move. Yeah. Because it's sort of like an activist, someone who's actually, because when you're pushing something with passion, it has that activism within it. So most of the time, it's actually peddled as if it's a political move. Yes. But one way or the other, I think what we need to do when we're actually facing these risks is to actually educate the masses and also lack of information. Yeah. I think that's one major challenge. I think if we then actually unveil ourselves to people, unveil ourselves to different stakeholders. I'll give an example. Just recently, not last week, 2 days ago, because of the engagement, because of the trust, I managed to call the EMA guys, can I have such information? Yes. They were willing to actually ask us to say, okay, James, you can't just do a phone call, but you have to actually write down to us. We'll give you a certain amount of time. With all the information, we'll give it back to you on a certain time. So I think it improves if we actually unveil ourselves and also be open about the work that we do, especially in our communities, and also just be a people's person. Yeah. Don't shy away to actually engage from an informed position. That way it actually makes things easier for you to navigate your way through.
Right. Julia, my risks are true kutaura ai. Anokuvhiringidza sei kuti muzokwanisa kunyasoita basa renyu zvakanaka. Makambofesa here marisks iwayo ekubvunzwa kuti imi mamuzive kubato rakadai here, muri kutsvagei panapa and all of that.
Zvaiti kanganisa pabasa redu kuti vamwe tikasvika tisagamuchike saizvozvo tanowanzwa vakupi matumanani saka taibva tatovharwa panze tiriperera pai panze taudozinooni kana to go to the council munonyorwa chitsamba kuti mugamushire kana mugamushirika tatadza kugamushirika panguva iyoyo saka zvaitadza kuti basa rifambire zvakanaka in time. Zvimwe zvinenge zvida evidence nefoni, zvimwe zvaida kumhanya nenguva kuti zviende pazvida kuti zviende zvichiripotwa in time, but taizoruza zvinhu zvese izvozvo nekuti time yatombodzorwa chididi zvatotendera
saka imimi maikwanisa kuzogadzirisa machallenges iwayo sei, maizozviita sei?
Taiti kana kansela siripo vatori kure navatovafonera kuti vatoti vaiti to go ahead kana vaite basa in time.
All right. Noel, let's also talk about my risks facing in the community menu and how you overcome them as my environmental monitors.
Okay, it's like we faced the challenge of at first it was like we asked if we had the memorandum of understanding, because they said you can't do a public gathering without not knowing who you are and where are you going. Okay. So since we managed to collaborate with the councillor, he helped us to approach the rural district council, and they managed to give us the document of memorandum of understanding. Right. So now it's easier that we can even do any meeting at any time with the public, since the councillor will also be there.
Well, after the short break, we'll continue this conversation as we talk about some of the regulatory challenges that environmental community-based organizations encounter that hinder their effectiveness. Thank you so much to everyone who's joining us for this conversation, and we'll see you after the short break.
My name is Kunda Ingwena, and I'm the Green Captain, the GC. So catch me live every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 3 p.m. and on Wednesday at 2 p.m. as I give you the daily dose of The Green Show. The Green Show is all about talking of initiatives where we drive to build the green economy. And The Green Show seeks to bridge the gap between the ordinary citizen, the government, the parastatals, as well as the government departments and the private sector.
Welcome back to our last segment of the Game Changer program, proudly brought to you by the Zimbabwe Environmental Law Association. Today, we are focusing on the work that's being done by environmental monitors and community-based organizations on environmental protection. Just before the break, we had interesting discussions around gatekeepers. What are the gatekeepers' thoughts around environmental monitors within these different communities? But just as well as the citizens, sometimes people think that these environmental monitors are coming from different political parties. Sometimes they really genuinely don't understand what an environmental monitor is, and therefore people need to be educated. And right now we want to talk about some of the regulatory challenges that environmental monitors encounter that hinder their effectiveness, as well as looking at how environmental monitors and community-based organizations can collaborate with government agencies and other stakeholders to enhance their impact on environmental protection. And of course, we have on this specific panel Belin Muza, who's from the Hot Springs, and he's an environmental monitor. And we have Evelyn Kuchkauripo, and she's from Mutoko, and she's an environmental monitor. And of course, to joining us again, we have James Dube, who's from Rwanda. So I'll start na Evelyn.
Okay.
Tarisa zviri kuitika kumutoko pane vamwe vanga vachitaura kuti masabhuku vanogona kuti mabhakupi matunanani tichitarisa mitemo iri munharaunda menyu ndeapi mamwe machallenges amunogona kutarisana nawo sema-environmental monitors kana muchitarisa mitemo nezvamunenge muchida kuita sema-monitor?
Thank you so much. Tine nguva yekuti munharaunda kana musiri kunyatsonzwisisika kuti where are you coming from, tinosangana nema-challenges ekuti unogona kumiswa basa raunenge uchiita rekumonitor environment, wogona kutonzi ndowebato ripi, nekuti kana vanhu vasiri kunzwisisa zvinotora kunetsa, and vanhu havanzwisise chinonzi CBO. So vanoda kutombodzidziswa kuti chii chinonzi CBO. So mitemo kwakafanana nekuma-council tatifambe-fambewo navo vakukwanisa kunzwisisa kuti anonzi mamonita chii. Since taakukwanisa kushanda navo mabasa ese, isusu sekuti sema-monitors tikawana panenge paita ma-damages e-land tinoenda kunoripota kuna environment officer wekumutoko RDC, like inini ndinobva kumutoko RDC, tonoripota ma-challenges atinenge tasangana nawo, and then toshanda tiri pamwe chete nemutoko RDC yedu, toengagea zvekare DDC vemutoko so that tinoshanda pamwe chete ne-CBO redu remutoko. Tichisangana zvekare nema-threats. Ma-threats aya tinawana kubva kuma-higher offices. I think ndikangoti ma-higher offices unokwanisa kuanzwisisa, because pane vamwe vanenge vane ma-interests nezvinenge zvichiitika kuma-mining companies. So you end up wapa corner pekuti ukatadza kuzvi-explainer unogona kuiswa pasiri paposition yako, unogona kujudgwa kuti you are coming from an opposition party, whilst usiri iwo uchishanda uchida kuti environment yedu inge ichigadzirisika. Yes.
Thank you so much for that. Evelyn. Berlin, tichitatarisa nezvataurwa na Julia. What are some of the challenges that you are facing within your community? And iwewe semunhu wechidiki ndikutoona kuti uri munhu wechidiki. Chii chaunofunga kuti chinofanira kugadziriswa as a young person pama policies edu kuti ma environmental monitors muzokwanisa kuita basa renyu zvakanaka?
From my area, I think the main problem was ignorance. Connected to my environmental monitors.
Okay.
Now we are not all clean because we did not know how we should operate in the environment. For us to operate safely and freely, you need a memorandum of understanding (MOU) with the district councils.
Okay.
So, initially we operated Shingoita, but like after training we just go to our communities. Then we start to carry out our work, which is not what's allowed, like according to protocols and stuff. So that understanding after we collaborated with these stakeholders, EMA, DC, DDC, and the villages, they told us, no, you're doing a great job, but you need to take certain steps because you're operating within our vicinity. And then again, I think most of the problems don't challenge because of lack of knowledge. We face a lot of challenges with the law and because again, when you report to us every time you do a workshop, every time you do any sort of activity in your area, even cleanup campaigns, you have to write a report. We did a cleanup campaign in area Medu. They can even come and assist. Write a cleanup campaign and you to make it to smoothen the problem. So as a youth, I think the challenges that we face is we're still facing is there is not proper inclusion of the youth. My police making meetings, yes, one consultant, one representative, sometimes, or maybe my elders from your CBO can go and then one of the but you need to be included. My youth maybe over 2 or 3 to balance this agenda and stuff or invite a Coco. I think it will solve a lot of challenges for your
Right. And as a young person, are there specific policies that need to be addressed to support your efforts as environmental monitors?
Yeah, that's for sure. I think in my area, like in my area's mining companies,
yes,
kuna job opportunities, but most of the times the local people complain about local people are not sufficiently employed in my companies. My companies are much money. They employ most people from here, from Harare and Blawayo. Maybe it's because of qualifications, but then the youth from our area are saying maybe they should include a certain number from localities. Right? Local law and they should be included at a higher rate from companies. Then I think just it's a more awareness campaigns to the youth regarding environment and the children, like clubs, supporting the environmental clubs at the schools. And
Thank you so much, Benin. James, it's interesting that Benin was talking about collaboration.
Yeah, true.
And, we're looking at environmental monitors and CBOs. How can you collaborate, or how do environmental monitors and CBOs collaborate with government agencies or other stakeholders to enhance their impact on environmental protection?
Thank you so much. I think the best way to go about that is to do an indaba, sort of that you bring Emma on board to actually come and articulate on a certain topic or on a certain program that they would want to articulate on. And also try to bring RDC, they also bring on the bylaws to actually try to educate the people so that people might as well understand. One thing that is important is to actually have all these stakeholders to work together to actually try to address the needs that people are actually facing. Like what my brother is saying here, the issue of the employment. If we bring all different stakeholders on board to say, how can we come up with a bylaw or a certain law that can address the needs of employment within that area? Let's say you take about 10% of the local people, it's mandated within the law that say 10% must be employed within that company. So with that coming together, you can address a lot of issues. And also, if Emma comes on board, Emma would actually push a lot of different initiatives. If you then say, Emma, can you do this for us? They can do it for you. And also you ride on that to actually try to push and push and push and push.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you, James, for that. Evelyn, to conduct public support my citizens, arim community main. Varku support you know, when it comes to environmental sustainability and environmental awareness, it's even about kurasama paper. You know, beyond, you know, the big mining conversations, but it's you know, and are people supporting when they see you, or are they actually supporting your work, and how can, you know, you and the community work together?
Okay. Nharaunda yakusapota nemhaka yekuti patakaita ma-collaborations nema-stakeholders vakaona kuti tiri kuita chinhu chimwe chete, so vakaona munhu anenge achitema even miti yakawandisa vanotouya vachiripota kwandiri sa-community monitor, taona munhu atema miti 5 zviri pamutemo here izvi, ndotaura kuti hazvisi, and then toenda kunotaura nemunhu ari kutema miti zviya zvekuti kana vanhu vadonedzawo mararawo vakuzivawo kuti aiwa hazvibvumirwe ka. Ini ndongosamonita tine nguva yatinopa ma-awarenesses. Tinoita kupa example yeBulawayo kuti it's a sunshine city, ukasvikako haufa wakawana marara pasi, saka ngatichengetedze mitoko yedu yakachena. Saka zvinezvi ngati muma-communities matinoshandira vanhu vakutinzwisisa zvekutiwo ukasvika chero pari pa-meeting unogona kungotaurwa kunzi monitor wedu asvika, ndofunga pane zviripo, and then unoziva kuti ukava involva even kuma-workshop trainings atinenge tinawo vanonzwisisa, so that vanenge vakunodisseminata information kune vamwe vanenge vasara kumba. Saka
okay, that's great. Maybe Berlin, you can also share your experience as much as James. What is your experience with the citizens or the community within your community?
I would say prior to the collaborations, which is the multi-acre partnership that was introduced by Zana, which is the collaboration we're talking about.
Yeah.
We had resistance from the community.
Okay.
Because we were operating alone. But once we started collaborating with, especially the local authority, like the villages and council, it became easier for them to understand that this is not a political thing. This is not a thing that belongs to a certain group of people. This is something we ought to do together. And we could also explain to them the damages that it has on their lifestyles, damages it has on the lifestyles of their children, even their unborn children. And so they understood. So they support. They support us. They are supporting greatly. Like my cleanup campaigns that we host, they are the ones who will be assisting us.
That's
my
great.
business centers and my e-clubs. My parents, my children, they want their children to be in environmental clubs because those children, they even perform better academically.
Okay.
Yeah, the children on my e-clubs. Like I think that's a step forward, and it's moving greatly.
That's great, James.
Just to maybe purchase on what you were saying, just you find that if more information is out there, people are willing to learn. And also one thing about if you unveil yourself to these stakeholders, they will ask again to say, when are you having another activity? Because there is more to share and there is more to learn. And one thing for sure, just to actually end, is to actually, if we learn more and also try to disseminate the information to other people, especially schools, we have what we call the edutainment, where people come and do the debates, where kids, where we collaborate with different stakeholders. We have collaborated with different stakeholders around Zimbabwe to come up with different programs that are running. So by the end of the day, it's just about sharing information. Don't keep it to yourself, but empower your next neighbor. Thank you.
Empowerment is key.
Yes.
And lastly, and I'll have remarks from all of you as we round off this conversation. When you look ahead, and I'll start with you, Berlin, as a young person, what do you see as the future of environmental monitoring and community-based efforts when we're looking at environmental protection? And, just looking at you being a young person and looking at environmental sustainability, what does that look like for you?
I think I would say I see a lot of people becoming environmental monitors, and I think there's maybe at a time forward they will be recognized nationally. Some people maybe with even identification cards, or even maybe in the constitution and in the policymakers. And I through interacting with the community, we have seen that most people really want to preserve their community. They do, but they just don't know who to go to. And so if more people receive the word, and the word is preached maybe nationally, people are going to work and prevent and reverse the land degradations that are happening in the community, maybe through tree plantings and garden reclamations. And it's in people, it's in them, but it just needs someone to pull it out of the people. And so I think maybe 5-10 years more to come, it will be a great work.
That's great. That's great. Evelyn?
Okay. Inini ndiri monitor kudaroka. Ndine training yandakazowana yekuva community paralegal. So patinenge tichiita activities edu. Ndinozonzwa vechidiki vachiti when I grow up I want to be a community paralegal. So ndinofunga kuti tikange tichishandidzana zvakanaka, even government yedu ikati recognize even panogadzirwa mutemo kuparliament, tikazivikanwawo, tikawana like what you've just said, ma-identities ekuzivikanwa kuti Evelyn ndi community monitor wekwamutoko. I think zvinokura munharaunda yekuti munhu wese anova ane kaudokwa kekuti ndinge ndiri a community monitor, nekuti anenge achiziva kuti ndinoda kuchengetedza nharaunda yangu. Nevechidiki vari kukura vaiva kuti I want to be a community paralegal. Zvinokura zviri mavari zvekuti vanogona kuzoziva kuchengetedza nharaunda. Like kuarea kwangu kwandinobva kwamutoko, mwana mudiki akuziva kuti makomba aya anenge asiwa nema-mining companies, kana vana vachitambira imomo vachibva kuchikoro, akandiona anobva ati sisi kune vana vari kutambira umo vanofa, nekuti tine mamwe ma-issues evana vakafira mumakomba iwayo. Saka vana vakakura vachingozvinzwa kuti pane mwana akafira makati, vanenge vane issues zvomusoro make. Saka pavanotongondiona ndotonzwawo kufara kana mwana ataura kuti pane vana vari kutambira umo. And then ini ndinoenda kuzoziva kuti ndofanira kutora matanho api kuti vana vasange vachipinda mupi vachipinda imomo. Saka ndiri kuona remangwana nekumberi kwedu tichange taane ma-monitors over 2,000 kwamutoko.
That's fantastic. Future proofing the next generation so that they when they grow up they want to be like James.
I think in the next coming years, just to actually see my community monitors being recognized, having laws that actually sustain and protect us to actually navigate our way through. And also besides that, to have more of young people being involved and more of young people having other initiatives to actually have projects that can sustain my communities, projects that can as well change their lifestyle, their livelihoods through the community monitoring skills that they've acquired. Because by the end of the day, if I'm actually addressing issues of actually planting trees, I can create employment. I can create a project that can be a lasting project to actually empower other young people that will be coming after me. So I believe it's an opportunity that has a lot of doors for us to actually explore. Thank you.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you to everyone who joined us, and of course special thanks to our last segment panelist, James Dube from Gwanda, and he's an environmental monitor there. We also had Evelyn Kuchikauripo, who's from Mutoko, and of course Benin Musa, who's from Hot Springs, as environment monitors. But at the end of the day, it's about future-proofing the next generation, but it's also about collaboration and being able to educate our citizens within the different communities so that they understand the roles of environmental monitors. Today we were focusing on the work being done by environmental monitors and CBOs on environmental protection. And remember, this program was proudly brought to you by the Zimbabwe Environmental Law Association. We'll see you next time.